Hello there, sweethearts, and welcome to our channel, Ina Rabino de Hilig. And of course, today, napaka-exciting ng ating topic because we are having a very special guest. Ayan, so just to give you a hint, noong 1990s, naging part siya ng Philippine show business and he is actually known as the crush ng bayan. So I don't know if you have any idea at all. But another hint is that you would often see him in TV commercials back in the Philippines, doing movies, and even I think hosting TV shows and beauty pageants. And ano pa yung isa kong sinasabi, yung itsura niya is like a mix of Aga Mulak, Rico Yan, and because I've seen Mario Lopez in person, he is the cuter version of Mario Lopez. Ayun, medyo bibitinin ko lang kayo konti, so sandaling-sandali lang because I just want to give way to our friend who just sent me a package. She is actually a fashion designer and a very well known here in the film community here in Los Angeles. So she, apart from being a couturier and a fashion designer, she is now producing a show on LA 18. It's called BFF, which is Beauty, Fashion, and Favorites. And one of the hosts there is actually my friend Noreen Lani, and she's also an actress. So she sent me a fashionable face mask, and here it is. So I'm just gonna show it to you quickly. So if you wanna try the fashionable mask, so fashionable mask meaning you don't wear this every day, okay? Huwag kayong pupunta ng grocery and then wearing this. So my friend is Lurazon, yeah. She's a couturier. So this is the face mask. I don't know. I think you do it like that. So, diba? So very, very fashionable. Thank you so much, Lurazon, for that fashionable mask. I'm really looking forward to wearing that one of these days. So thank you so much. And so, eto na nga, eto na, at ako kinikilig na ako because nakita ko siya kanina, hindi nagbabago yung itsura niya. So, sweethearts, are you ready now? So, this guy that I'm telling you is none other than Dale Villar Aislar.
Magandang gabi, araw, ano ba? Good
Yeah,
day to
diba?
all of
Depende
you.
sa time zone, di ba?
Oo.
Ayun. Uy, kumusta ka na, Dale?
Mabuti naman, salamat, Ina.
Ayun. Sweethearts, he went by the name Dale Villar on screen, tama? You were one of those na mga na-introduced during the 90s and I don't know like how it all started. Kwentuhan mo naman kami, si Dale Villar ba ay saan ipinanganak and taga saan ka?
So, I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. That's where I am now. In the early 90s, I graduated high school. Tapos I went back to the Philippines. I've gone there about 3 or 4 times with my parents. So both my parents are from Iloilo. So my whole baseline and my heritage is Ilonggo. So imagine I'm born a Phil-Am, no? I'm born in Portland, Oregon. But the only language I really knew was Ilonggo and partly Tagalog. So that's why there's that word bolol that's in between there, because not only was I learning, because I was learning Tagalog as I was going along, but I wasn't learning from English. I was learning from Ilonggo, because my dad and my mom are pure Ilonggo, right? So my dad is from Haro, and my mom is from Ahoy. I actually lived in Bacoor, Cavite, right in the north, diba? So when I lived there, my lolo at the time was actually the governor of Bacoor. And then of course we have a lot of relatives of ours that are in Cebu. My cousin was the Secretary of Tourism, Ace Durano. My uncle is a congressman in Danao. And so we were kind of grew up in the politics area of the Philippines, no? So when I came back, I was in 1993. The plan was to go to college in De La Salle University. So I was staying with my grandfather in Bacoor. Tapos I went to De La Salle to enroll. When I was there and enrolling, just some really random person said, "Hey, would you like to model?" And I was like, "Sure. I'm here in the Philippines. Why don't I model?" Not really caring about too much, no? So he introduced me to one specific person who actually changed my life from that moment. His name is Jojo Veloso.
sweethearts, when we are just about to start recording, na-mention ko kay Del na, oh my gosh, kasi nung nag-pop siya dun sa screen ko, sinabi ko na, oh my gosh, why you haven't changed? Yung face na ganun din. So parang siya yung male version ni Alice Dixon, Ina Raimundo, na mga hindi tumatanda.
You mentioned also Ina Raimundo. Ina Raimundo was also one of my close friends who is also under Jojo Veloso. So Alice Dixon, Ina Raimundo, Richard Gomez, Rudolph Yaptian Chai, Hans Montenegro, all of us were under Jojo Veloso. So there was quite a few of us that were together. But when I was introduced to Jojo, the plan was never really TV and movies. The plan was only because he was a modeling agent. He was not necessarily a acting agent or acting manager. He introduced Alice Dixon to TV. If you remember back in the 80s, and some people do, is that Alice Dixon, Alice Dixon was the one who actually was in commercials. Yes. Same with Ina, same with Rudolph. And then they moved to movies or TV later in their life, but they weren't really managed by Jojo. Jojo actually just did the original stepstone. Okay. So when I started, I did almost, I would say, 20 commercials, from Hall's Honey Lemon to Johnson and Johnson, hair stuff, background, sometimes just the acting male lead. It wasn't really anything too great. But there was this one commercial that I did. It was me and two others, and it was a 3-day shoot. Now, this is green screen. Our job was to act up in front of the green screen, and we were supposed to pretend there was animals and lions, and it was for this soda company. When we did it, everything was done, edited and all. They submitted it to New York. It did not pass something. Somehow it failed. It did not even go through. Okay. So let's go back just a little bit. Naalala mo yung time, it was called the 349 controversy sa Pepsi. Do you remember any of that time at all? It was called 349.
Refresh mo yung memory ko.
Okay. So during that time, there was a bunch of bottle caps, and it was an actual promotion from Pepsi Cola.
I remember that.
349 at the bottom of the cap, you're the winner of 1,000,000 pesos. Okay?
Yes.
The problem there was they printed over 4 million bottle caps of 349. You were supposed to only get maybe 5. But there was there was an incorrect number printed. So everybody had 349. So they didn't know what to do. So they blamed it on different places. Martin Rivera and Pops Fernandez were the spokesperson of the 349. And it was a very huge controversy. So Pepsi was not even in the, it was not marketing. They didn't have any commercials out. They had nothing. So they were trying to escape the 349 by not using any celebrities, not using anybody. Okay. They tried to do something a little bit different, which was more cartoonish. And that's what they used. Yung chroma screen, there were some animals, and of course the acting. Well, when it didn't fail or didn't pass, the agency kind of panicked and asked if I could, for free, or actually 500 pesos at the time, to do the commercial for them one day. And that commercial was the one that launched me. And that was called the 4 peso commercial. So if you look if there's the basic thing, if you remember, it showed that what can you buy for 4 pesos? Can you buy a cheeseburger? Then you saw a little cheeseburger, or a 4 peso haircut. When you turn around, it was only a cut of the hair sa back, no? And then if you go 4 pesos t-shirt, it would zoom up to here. That was when you zoom out.
Yung parang crop top.
Oh, crop top. It was actually cut dito, no?
Oh, yeah.
And then it aired so many places back to back to back to back that it was at that time, channel 2 was ABS, channel 5 was ABC, RPN was 9, GMA was 7, IBC was 13. All over the air, no cable. It aired back to back to back for almost 2 months, almost. And then that's when it turned from nobody model to Pepsi boy to Dale Villar. The time from the De La Salle University start to that part of that first commercial was only 6 months. Wow. So imagine the time. It was a shotgun up. And most people have, I can tell you, and you should know this too, blessings to God when you come to this. When you're in this position and somebody opens that door for you and they give you that opportunity to actually go into there, it's almost the part where you cannot stop. It's where that you're led to the position, no? So when I got that, it wasn't even a thought. It was basically, this is what you're gonna do. This is your next step. This is your next step. And next thing you know, I was already doing it. And I didn't understand what was happening. I was just being told, okay, ito ang gagawin mo. Go to this station. You're gonna do this. I want you to smile, act, look, pa-cute, and then we'll put it on there. And that's what I've been doing over and over and over again. After the 6 months, and then the commercial aired, that was 2 months of not doing anything. I didn't do anything. But everywhere I went, oi, si Pepsi Boy. Oi, that's the Pepsi Boy. And it kept on going and going and going. And then at that time, that's when Jojo Veloso changed from agency model to TV, movie, and movie manager. At the commercial, I was lucky enough because you have to remember, it was also very difficult. There's no DVR and there's no recording. So I had to use beta tapes, VH tapes, and I had to record it. And I had to take some, I had to do my best to save it. So I was able to save just a few of those commercials, and I was able to at least post some of those copies, even to YouTube. Now, you have to think about it, just like anybody else, Donita Rose, Donna Cruz, people, and I'm saying this in the nicest way also with me, without saying that mayabang ako, no? Is that I'm saying this at that time, for a good 4 or 5 years, Dale Villar was a household name. And it was good because when you said it, people knew it. So here's the timeline, no? So after the initial Pepsi commercial came out, in between there, I was also doing the Face of the Year modeling search. Face of the Year was also controlled by and owned by Jojo Veloso. Now remember, Pepsi was a glitch in the system. In other words, we weren't planning, or I wasn't planning, nobody was planning that was going to jump so fast. People just thought I was just going to do a commercial in the same way. And I was doing about 19 or 20 prior. And then after just a little bit, that Pepsi came out. But when I won 1993 Face of the Year, that's when it just kind of clicked. After that point, Viva Films asked me to do something. GMA asked me to do something, and it just kept on going and going. So my first movie was in 1994 with Maricel Soriano, Andrew E. with Viva Films.
Machichirichit?
So it was Andrew E., Maricel Soriano, Rafi Rodriguez, Donna Cruz, Ruby Rodriguez, and of course, Smokey Manaloto. He was actually my co-part there.
So sino yung ka-love team mo noon? Donna Cruz?
Donna Cruz.
But you were also paired with, diba, Giselle Sanchez?
So Giselle Sanchez, because we worked, Giselle Sanchez and I worked together because we were on a TV show called Salo Salad together.
Ayun.
Now, during that time, Eat Bulaga was on GMA. And then after Eat Bulaga lost their contract, there was no contract negotiation, so Eat Bulaga sa GMA. They moved it to ABS-CBN. So during that time, GMA had no noontime show. They created a show called SST, or Salo Salad Together.
Yes.
The main, the main people that were there was Randy Santiago, I de las Alas, Smokey Manaloto, myself, Anjanette Abayari, Giselle Sanchez, and Bayani at the time. Then you had a daily show. So the daily show was Monday through Saturday, right? It was a Monday through Saturday, noontime, 11 to 1:30 every day. And then on Saturday was a 2-hour show. And I was doing this for years. I would say 3 years. Every day I was doing that. So that's where the household name came in. And then I was paired with Giselle. I was doing movies with Donna. And then I was actually, not saying controversy, but worked with Vina Morales. So Vina Morales and I worked together in Cadenang Bulaklak, but I was paired with Donna, but tabloids locked me with Vina Morales.
Pero may tatanong lang ako, Dale. Like, you said, kunyari, you were born and raised here in Portland, Oregon, pero you went back to the Philippines. Anong reason? Anong reason muna? But you were
so my mom and dad, even though that my mom was a nurse who opened up a business with my dad was a merchant marine seaman. So he actually was on the boats and he was making money that way. When they moved here and they transferred here, they actually met in Portland. So when me and my brothers and my sister, we were all raised here. When I graduated, I'm the oldest of 4. When I graduated, my thought process was just to go to the Philippines and basically kind of learn the culture. That was the plan.
Okay.
So it was actually my heart plan, like the plan that you believe that, okay, this is what I want to do. Not a career plan. I wasn't trying to. I wanted to do something like an international business. I wanted to be part of the Philippines. I love the culture. I did not plan to be in the movies. I did not plan to be in the TV.
Okay.
It just was a heart plan. So when I went there and to go there, the plan was, okay, let's learn about everything I can learn at a different country. And it was really surprising because it led to something that was totally different than what I expected. So that's why that's the two reasons why I recall everything. The first is that somebody should do is that it's a important, significant part of my life that allowed me to become the man and the husband and the father and the leader, the God-fearing person that I am, the Christian that I am, to show that there is a pathway to who I am. When I went through all of this, I did movie after movie, show after show. It didn't really kick in that celebrity status till about 3 or 4 years later. And that's where it turned and changed who I was. And that's why in 1996, late 96, I was saying, I'm done with showbiz. It wasn't a decision by the manager. It wasn't a decision done by a station. It wasn't a decision done by Viva Films. It wasn't anybody else's decision but my own. I went back here to Portland to visit family, and I saw my brothers. Nobody talked to me. Nobody actually bothered me. I felt like there was freedom. I know this is irrelevant, but it's hard to explain, because when you see all these people that are in the celebrity world, you see it from the outside going, oh, it must be so amazing that people know you and you live there and you do this, but they don't know exactly the hardship you're going through on the inside.
Question, Dale. So when you said you're done with show business, what prompted you? Why did you arrive to that, point when you have to say all those things?
So, like I said, in 1996, it was the part where I remember that there was 3 major events. The one was I was in a restaurant with a friend of mine, and we were having dinner, and this young kid came up to me and basically said, Dale, can you please sign this autograph for me? I think that it was, and I wish I could apologize, and I'm not, and I would, of course, there's nothing I could do about it now, but I sincerely apologize. I was extremely rude. I was not mean, but very disturbed by it. Like, why would they bother me while I'm eating food? I literally had food in my mouth, and I was like, oh, sige, I would just give it to me, and then signed it, here you go. Oh. And it didn't dawn on me until like about a couple months later, I won't forget it, because I remember sitting there later going, why did I do that? I mean, it wasn't like this person was trying to annoy me. It was me being annoyed because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. Because there has to be a point that I have to be happy with what I am doing so that everybody else can see me. It felt like it wasn't an adult, it was a child. It was like maybe 10, 12, 13 years old who just wanted their star's autograph. And the autograph to them would have meant the world to them. Yes. And I'm sure that the mom must have said, "Ang yabang naman ito," or said so many different things about me, and I didn't really care. The second part was Filipino chismis. Now, Filipino chismis is tough. It's sobrang mahirap. And in so many different ways, it can eat at you for things that you never knew you could do. And I hate to bring back other people that talked on interviews and other people that have discussed this. You cannot understand the power of gossip unless you see when everybody else is talking about it and you cannot have any way to defend it. It's really tough, because you could say it to the world that, oh, in this statement here, hindi naman totoo. It's not true in any such way. Pero blasted sa headlines, nakakita namin si Dale sa isang nightclub, ibig sabihin, bakla siya, or something to that effect. Or nakita namin si Dale nakasama sa isang buntis na babae. He has hidden children somewhere, blah, blah, blah. And it continues on to this pattern of, okay, what do I do as a person? And every time I try to change, it doesn't really do us anything, because the tabloids are the ones that are speaking for me.
After that, you went back here, but you went back to the to the Philippines to do like a couple of years acting again.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Almost another 5 more years. So when I came back in 96, 97, I wanted to lay low and do all that, just kind of get away from it. The one thing about with Philippine showbiz is that it's that one part that you're really good at that everybody else sees that they just call on you for. Now, I'm not saying that I'm extremely talented. I believe that I have a passion, and my
Mm-hmm.
passion carries me where I go. Okay.
Yes.
So when the internet started blowing up again, or it started coming up in 1999, 2000, and 2001, people from the Philippines were saying, "Oh, this actor came back from the U.S. This actor came back from the U.S. Why don't you come back and let's see what will happen?"
Uh-huh.
And when I came back at the beginning of like the end of 2000 to 2001, GMA picked me up and I did more commercials again.
Mm-hmm.
I did a couple movies for Star. I did some cameo roles for Viva. And
Mm-hmm.
I just started doing these small shows here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I started hosting for Nickelodeon and MTV. So
Okay.
it started into a different path from batang teenager, 19-year-old to, I wouldn't say middle age, but middle age 20s, 30s
Mm-hmm.
VJ. So it changed from when you said TV show, TV movies, that was a young Dale. The older
Mm-hmm.
Dale became TV host, communicator,
Mm-hmm.
show host, and then I had my own TV show, and it was a reality TV show called Celebrity Single with under ABC as on Channel 5. And then I did the one big one, which was 30 Days on GMA 7.
And then why did you leave again?
I know it's so
If everything is going on
back
smoothly
and
since
forth,
then.
no?
Uh-huh.
So that's the final time I have to say that I final time then, but because the internet and COVID now changes kind of like the way that we interact. Then it was the part where I believed in 2006
Okay.
that I hit my peak of being a young, irresponsible, immature young man. It was time for me to grow up. There was a pinpoint in my life that I just go, I cannot see this be a where I can raise my kids, have a married life, and be continuously the perfect man until I get somewhere outside of the circle. That this is one thing that my manager said at the time when we used to speak. As soon as you leave the house, this is your job. No matter where you go, as soon as you leave the house, not when you arrive at the set, not when you arrive at the shoot. As soon as you leave your house, you're
Yes.
Dave Villar. So when you walk out, everybody sees you, no matter where you go, until you
Yes.
go back to your house and you lock your door. You're not nobody else anymore. So that's
Yes.
the hardest part is that then what if you want to do something? I couldn't go
Yes.
to SM Mall and
Uh-huh.
be safe. I couldn't go to any public place just to be a tourist. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
fun because the way that it was at that, again, it's so hard to describe unless you're actually in it. But it wasn't easy for a lot of people like myself just to walk into a place and go, okay, I'm just gonna sit down and not be bothered. I remember going to Iloilo. I went to SM. I went to go buy something by myself. And overhead in the speaker right here, in Ilonggo, SM Iloilo would like to welcome Del Villar to SM. And you hear this, pop, 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 and I'm like looking around going, oh no, man, now I have to leave. So it was for me, my learning experience, the first time, and then realizing it on the second time, is that it took almost 2 to 3 years to get out of it. It's almost like, I
Wow.
would say, like a rehabilitation or
Yes.
rehab way, because you're in this kind of limelight that you cannot get out of, and you can't understand the world around you until
Mm-hmm.
you're completely out of it. That's why you have these celebrities who are depressed or who
Mm-hmm.
have mental problems,
Mm-hmm.
because once you're there, it's really hard to get out.
So, okay. Now you found love here na rin in
Mhm.
Oregon. So, paano kayo nag-meet ng wife mo?
So my wife and I work for Mercedes Benz. So
Uh-huh.
the transition there and I'll make that kind of long story short, short story long, is that I grew up with a Mercedes. I kind of went through Mercedes, and then I got involved into a dealership that allowed me to drive a car for a little bit. And then I did their kind of promotion for social media. And then I started becoming a salesperson. Then I became a manager, and then I moved on and on and on. And my wife is a runway model. So she was doing runway for different fashion shows and different projects for Mercedes Benz. And she was doing it at the same time I was running running my store. So I used to see her, and I used to say, it's for me, it was my thing was, oh wow, she's out of my league. There's no way that woman would ever fall in love with me. And then it was a very long courtship. Now in the US, there's not a courtship, and I think you should know also is that it's easy for anybody to swipe right, swipe left. Anybody could have a Match.com profile. Anybody can do something online. I didn't meet my wife that way. I met her organically. I was able to be introduced. I was able to talk to her. I knew who she was. Every time I knew that there was an event, I prided myself to try to go see her and say hi to her. She didn't even give me her number until about a year and a half later.
Wow,
So
that was so challenging. At eto nga, nakita ko na parang ever since bata ka, parang you love Mercedes-Benz, parang ganon. And then your dad gifted you a car, no, Mercedes, di ba?
Two times.
Two times. So, bakit ka nahilig? Anong meron? Anong meron sa Chideng?
I don't know. Alam mo, I think that the reason why is, I guess you can look at it as the Philippines, no? So most of it's a status for most. And in the Philippines, a chideng was a status symbol. So Mercedes. My dad grew up on the streets of Haro. I would say in the more parts, and he used to say that he was a poor kid and he was lucky, but he always wanted to own a Mercedes. So when he got to the US, when he got a Mercedes, he bought it and held on to it, and he gave me that car when I graduated high school. And then when I graduated high school, I asked my parents for my graduation gift, and it was just a used Mercedes Benz. They got me that, and then I used it for maybe 4 months, and then I moved to the Philippines. After all of those times, it turned in from that passion to the next side that I've always just loved the brand. And I always thought that if I wasn't in the line where I would work for Mercedes, and here I am.
Dale, so any regrets in the past? Anything na parang dapat ganito yung ginawa ko? Or, apart from saying na dapat hindi ka naging rude before. So, other than that, ano pa yung special na lesson na natutunan mo sa lahat-lahat ng experience mo?
It would be hard for me to say that I had any regrets, or else I wouldn't be as happy as I am today. If I regretted anything, then I wouldn't be happy now. I mean, it's hard for me to say that, because I would like to say that, I wish I did this project a little bit better. I wish I acted better in this job. I wish I didn't jumble my words when I was on the stage doing a TV show host for MTV. But those are minute details of regret. Those are mistakes that were done by an actor or a artist that people already forgotten except for me. So the one thing that it's understanding. I think the understanding of my craft. But other than that, I don't have any regrets.
Given a chance, if you're given a chance to go back to the Philippines again because there's a big project waiting for you, would you grab it, or you would have to think a lot of times?
No, I would. It's hard. No, I wouldn't say I wouldn't even think. I don't have to make the decision. It's already it's in God's hands in so many different ways. It's not my decision at that point. I like to say yes, but I always like listening to this fable about, a guy was on top of a roof and it was flooding, and a boat comes by and he goes, I'm here to save you. And he goes, no, God will save me. And a second boat goes by and he goes, I'm here to save you. And he goes, no, God will save me. And a third boat goes by, it goes, your last chance. And he goes, no, God will save me. Floods, dies. And then he goes to God, he goes, why didn't you save me? He goes, I gave you 3 boats. Why didn't you go take one of the boats? So the position is exactly what it is now. every single time that a boat comes by, I take it. I take that boat. And how I take that boat, it will lead me to the next direction every step of the way I'm supposed to go. And sometimes I don't see the first boat. Sometimes I have to see the second or the third to get it, but I see the boat. And so that's why I live by that ruling that if I'm supposed to go to the Philippines to do something, it will be given to me. I know for a fact that in so many ways, I won't have to make that decision. The decision of where I've gotten out to now and how I've gotten to this position has been beyond. It is also hard work. It is also passion and dedication. But that's what I believe, that who I am as a person is that I'm passionate about what I do. And then if I continue that way, everything else is in alignment. It just comes in. It comes in the right pathway. And let me go back to, and I skipped a very small little segment in my life.
Okay.
In 1994 to 1996, I was on a TV show called Over the Bakod. And Over the Bakod had Leo Martinez and Jono Gibbs and Anjo Iliana and a whole bunch of other people that were on there. And I was on that show, and you had a whole different group of people. Jono Gibbs, great singer, great comedian. Leo Martinez, director, writer, producer, and a true artist. This is like in my belief, the Robert De Niro of the Philippines. The guy knew his way of dealing with the art side of it. He wasn't in it for the celebrity. He was in it as a job, and he loved acting. And I met so many other like Brownie, and I met so many other actors that really pushed the craft. They knew that there's different groups of people, there's different actors that do something, but people that push that craft, that are real actors, they're something else. They're the most unicorn, down to earth, greatest people that have very philosophical views. That's who taught me how to stabilize. Because one thing that actors sometimes forget, or let me rephrase that. Aspiring actors. Okay. Aspiring actors is that they want to achieve being a celebrity. You have that. The hard part there is that you have to have a craft to achieve that. And you can't just jump into being a celebrity and okay, I'm going to be a celebrity. You have to believe in your craft. I was blessed by so many different parts that I already knew was an actor and a model, but to get into the celebrities, that was by chance. That was completely by chance. But with Leo, he taught me a lot of that. That's why every single person was significant in my life to get me to where I am now.
Sobrang daming hinugot ni Dale Villar. What else do you want to happen in your life, Dale?
At this point, as long as we're healthy, we're eating good, we have a house, so we have a roof over our head, and we're all together and everybody's safe, I mean, everything else will come into place.
Thank you so much, Dale, for all this, sharing of the wonderful experiences you had, and for parang stripping off yourself, like sharing your personal experiences. Kasi parang it's hard for some people that, diba, to do that.
And I see that you're doing well, so you're doing and following your passion as well. So I'm very proud of you, and I'm really honored to be here talking to you today.
Wow, thank you so much. But I'm so humbled, the fact that you agreed to be interviewed, like hindi ka na nag-isip. So thank you talaga. And
thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me to be part of part of the interview.
So we wish you and pray for your success and for your happiness, and also for good health, diba? So yan.
Okay.
Sweethearts, thank you so much for keeping us company here. And I hope na you have learned so much. You got inspired by Dale's sharing of his experiences. And sana ganun din talaga tayo in reality, in real life, na we'll learn to love ourselves, know our value, know our worth, so we know when to stop and parang kumbaga magre-root, or di ba, para manavigate mo ng ayos yung buhay mo, because the one who can control your life apart from God really controlling you is you. You have to discern ano at saan ka kailangan dalhin, di ba? So find that not from other people but ikaw talaga, di ba? So when you think na parang maliligaw ka, stop for a while para you go back to where you came from, and then pag nakita mo na mas malawak na yung perspective mo na doon pala ako pupunta, 'di ba?
Like I said, I also want to thank you all the sweethearts. Thank you for watching and allowing Ina. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your show. And yes, it's true. The one thing that's important is just that you just have to always realign yourself.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll be off track, and then sometimes you don't know where you're going. But if I think internally, and people have always talked about it, as long as you can find your true happiness within yourself, everything else will line up.
Thank you so much again, sweethearts, for your never-ending love and support to our channel. Dale is a special guest talaga na, sa pagsa-celebrate.
Thank you so much.
First anniversary nitong, first anniversary ng channel ay nakasama natin.
Happy anniversary.
So like what I always say, always stay positive, be prayerful, be thankful for all the blessings, big and small. So God bless and we love you. Bye.